we're gonna schmooze with Brad.
All right, so happy Black History Month.
Yes.
Jonathan and everybody out there, to all Americans, whether you're black or not.
Yeah.
Happy Black History Month, because we're all American, and quite frankly, what a contribution Black Americans have made to our society, right?
Absolutely.
And deserves a month, deserves a full year, deserves a decade.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Why
Absolutely.
not, right? Do you know, by the way, Jonathan, or maybe you read this card?
Let's go ahead and try and see.
Did you read the card?
I did not read the card.
Okay, because honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth, and I feel I'm a learned man.
Okay.
But I didn't know the answer to this until I read this card.
What is it?
Do you know why? If you ask me why is Black History Month celebrated in February, I wouldn't know, because I would first think, well, Martin Luther King Jr., but his birthday was in January. So
and he died in April.
And he died in April. So why February? And I guess my only answer would be because that's how it was decided.
Right.
But there has to be a reason behind it. Do you know?
I don't know the reason.
I didn't know either, but according to this card provided to me by Groundhog Sam, he's given me all the information. The answer lies with eminent American historian Carter G. Woodson, who pioneered the field of African American studies in the 20th century. So he was the one who actually started studying Black American history. Before that, there was no such thing. You know, there was no, you go to college and you're like, oh, I'd like to learn about Black American history. Well, sorry, there is no course on it.
Right.
So he was the one who started it. It was inspired by having attended a 3-week national celebration of the 50th anniversary of the emancipation in 1915. So 50 years from the emancipation of slavery from 1865. And Woodson joined 4 others in founding the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. And the association was created to encourage scholars to engage in the intensive study of the Black past, a subject that has long been sorely neglected by academia in the United States up to that point.
Right.
So in 1916, Woodson began editing the association's principal scholarly publication, the Journal of Negro History. 2 years later, in 1924, spurred on by Woodson, his college fraternity. I don't know if this is your fraternity.
Which one is it?
Omega Psi Phi.
Damn.
Is that yours?
No, mine is Kappa Alpha Psi.
Is that the competition?
We're founded the same year, 1911.
Right. Okay, so Omega Psi Phi introduced Negro History and Literature Week.
Wow.
Yes. So 2 years later, determined to bring greater attention to African American history, Woodson launched Negro History Week in February 1926.
Wow.
It is also February. February is also the birth month of President Abraham Lincoln, who issued the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes.
And African-American abolitionist author and orator Frederick Douglass, who was born on February 14th. So in all combination of all of that, it was determined that February would be the best month to celebrate Black History Month.
Yeah.
Now, in honor of Black History Month, we put together a compilation of guests we've had on our show who deserve to be honored for their contributions to African American culture and to society as a whole. Let's watch.
I am the Black man, intelligent, strong, and proud. From this day forward, I pledge my life to the continued development of myself, my family, my community, and to the total and unconditional liberation of my people. We will succeed.
I'm the Attorney General of the great state of New York, and I'm here today to talk about gun violence. I've been here many a day, and I'm tired of vigils, I'm tired of candles, I'm tired of prayers. It's time that we take action.
As an entrepreneur, you just toil away and hope that one day something will happen, but you never know how close you are to making that difference. So my advice to anyone who's looking to entrepreneurship is to stay focused, stay committed, and just keep pushing.
Now the Gullah Geechee heritage, which came from our ancestors, the Africans who came over who were rice growers from the west coast of Africa, they were the ones who were responsible for actually the economic development of the United States of America.
While my family is third generation from the village of Harlem, my family also hails from the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The Caribbean Day Parade historically started here in the village of Harlem, so the interconnectedness between that which people from foreign shores have done and contributed to this community is absolutely outstanding.
One of the reasons we started this event is that most African or Caribbean merchants, if they go to other street festivals, don't get the amount of revenue, don't get the amount of attention, And the way we organize this particular event is to draw a large enough crowd so that merchants actually make a sufficient living and income.
Critically important that everybody be able to celebrate their culture, but even more important, obviously, this is the 50th anniversary of the African American Day Parade. The Orange Man in the White House trying to spread orange madness. It makes it even more important. New York Times has put out 1619, the expose of what this country is, how it was founded. And you really see that this country wouldn't be this country without the contributions of African Americans.
That's how the country is built. It's immigrants who built this country. Even my great-great-great-great-grandfather is among them. That is where we follow up.
I'm here to better our lives. It's an opportunity country. That's all, America.
Lo malo was a colloquial term. It was a term frequently used. And what I told her was, this will stop with you and I.
All right, so happy Black History Month.
That was beautiful.
That was very nice.
I love
it. And we'll be celebrating it throughout the entire month here at Bradshaw Live. In other news,
all right,
Jonathan,
let's get into it.
An impeachment update. There's going to be more orange madness.
Orange
man
spreading
orange madness around. The Senate has neglected to impeach him, despite, or will shortly neglect to impeach him. It's going to happen momentarily, despite the fact that every senator said what he did was wrong.
Wow.
Even the Republicans said what he did was wrong. And if you see the tweets and the comments from the Republicans, they said, nobody's defending Trump here, but we just think that if we impeach him, there'll be a culture war, so we don't want that to happen.
What?
Exactly. That's basically what they're saying. They're saying he did everything wrong. It wasn't a perfect call. He actually did exactly what the Democrats claim he did. He abused his power. Right. He used his position as president of the United States to try to influence a weaker leader in the Ukraine to give dirt on Joe Biden, who, by the way, isn't going to be the president anyway, with or without this entire thing, and we'll get to that in a minute. And all the Republicans said, yep, he did it. But you know what? We're not going to have a culture war, so we're going to let the American people decide. And you know what basically they did? You know, we have a separation of powers here in the United States of America. You know, where equal branches of government. That's what I learned when I grew up. That there's an equal branch of government. Each branch of the government has equal amount of power. The Congress has an equal amount of power to the executive branch, and the courts have an equal amount of power too. Okay. Congress makes the laws. The president signs the laws into being. The president has to enforce the laws, and if the president abuses his power by enforcing the laws, there is a Supreme Court or a court system, a judicial system that lawyers like I participate in to bring people to justice. Right. That is our separation of powers. And what the Senate has done this week and last week is that they abdicated their responsibility and basically gave power to Donald Trump. Wow. What they basically said is, we're going to cede our power. We're not going to have an equal say in how our government runs. We're going to give the power to the executive branch, to the president, which is basically orange madness, right? What do you say? It was spreading orange madness. That's basically it. So
when you say they're going to let the people decide, how would that actually go?
The people decide November. There's going to be an election.
Oh, that way.
That way.
Oh, okay.
That way. And now in lead House Manager Adam Schiff's closing arguments, this is what he said, basically what I just said. Decency matters here. When the president tries to coerce an ally to help him cheat in our elections and covers it up, we must say enough is enough. He has betrayed our national security, and he will do so again, and he's compromised our elections and will do so again. You will not change him, but you cannot constrain him. He is who he is, but truth matters little to him. What is right matters less, and decency matters not at all. And let's watch the video.
Decency matters here. And when the president tries to coerce an ally to help him cheat in our elections and then covers it up, we must say enough.
All right, so you know what? It's up to you, American voters. Brad, squatters who are U.S. citizens, it's up to you to vote.
Right.
What do you want?
Please.
You want a president who can break the laws? Or you want a president who you say, you know what? You break the laws, you're not going to be the president anymore. That's basically what it is. Comes
That's
down
what
to.
it needs to be.
That's what it comes down to. Meanwhile, the Democrats they never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they screw it up time and time again. Their first primary, which was a caucus in Iowa last night, it's supposed to be a big deal, so they could anoint who the front runner is in the Democratic primary, moving forward to New Hampshire, and we could have a big discussion about who won, who lost, move on to New Hampshire, and we are watching the news all night. And of course, all of their software breaks down.
Oh my God.
Of course, their systems of counting the votes breaks down.
Way.
At the end of the night, nobody knows who won, who lost.
Jeez.
The only thing that we know is President Trump is mocking the Democrats, saying, "How could you trust the Democrats to run our country when they can't even run an election in Iowa?"
Golly.
So, it's a problem.
Yeah, that's bad.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad. Now, apparently, there's a new app that they were using to transmit the results. The app broke down. Then they have to count the ballots by hand. Then there was an issue of making sure that the ballots were counted properly.
Right.
It was an absolute disaster for the Democrats. And, you know, after 1 year of campaigning in Iowa, you want a Democratic frontrunner to stand up and say, "I'm the man or I'm the woman who has won, and I am going to be the leader of this party, and we're all waiting to see who it's going to be."
Dang.
And nobody knew.
Nobody.
So at the end of today, right before we got on the air, they came back with a partial tally. We don't even know if it's a full tally. It's a partial tally.
What the heck is a partial tally?
Partial tally means is we counted about half the vote so far. And right now, about halfway through the voting. So ridiculous.
Right.
So ridiculous. You know what? It makes me want to vote for Pierre Trudeau to be president of the United States.
Oh, Lord.
Any event.
Okay.
It used to be the former Prime Minister of France. But any event, halfway through the voting, they say Pete Buttigieg, I pronounced his name wrong, is squeaking ahead of Bernie Sanders.
Wow.
Elizabeth Warren is in third with a solid third, and Joe Biden, who Donald Trump thought was going to be his adversary, is in a very distant fourth.
Jeez.
So now what it's going to come down to, if this holds, okay, it's going to be a moderate Buttigieg, who is openly homosexual, versus Bernie Sanders, who is an elderly man, somewhere between socialist and communist. The reality is his proposals, and where is that all going to fall out? Where's that all going to fall out? I don't know. And then you have Bloomberg in the background spending hundreds of millions of dollars. He's not in the first.
He's not even in the first four.
He's not in the first four. And his thinking is this: these first four elections, because remember, it's a state-by-state election, hold very little ultimate value in terms of delegates, because you have to amass a certain amount of delegates in order to get the nomination.
So
just like you have to amass a certain amount of votes.
Yeah.
And these first four states are very tiny.
Yeah.
So he says, you know what, I'm going to skip all four, and I'm going to spend all my time and effort getting the big ones. Kind of like that guy in Jeopardy who won. Who was the guy who won, Jilly, in Jeopardy all the time? He was winning for like 70 games in a row, 60 games in a row. Just the guy recently, remember? And what he did was, everybody in Jeopardy used to bet, okay, I'm going to bet 200, Alex, then 400. He just went straight for 1,000.
What? Oh.
So I don't know. Holtz, whatever his name is, Holtzhauer. So he's like
James
Holtzhauer. Yeah. So I mean, he's just going like for the big, Alex, I'm going to go for 1,000 delegates. So that's.
So do you feel like this is a smart move?
I don't know if it's a smart move, but it's a smart move in the sense that he got in late. And I think Bloomberg because you're not going to. He's going to spend $1 billion on this election. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Whether you're worth $50 billion or not, $1 billion is still $1 billion.
Yeah.
And he's not a fool. He's not going to spend $1 billion unless he thinks he could win.
Yeah.
So he was waiting for the end to see how these candidates are going to connect with the voters. If there was a candidate who was going to be a breakout star, I don't think you would have seen Bloomberg.
Yeah.
But because there's no breakout person, Bloomberg says, you know what? There's a way for me to do this. And I'm going to go for the big delegates, and I'm going to come in the end, and I'm going to spend my $1 billion. Like, listen, you spend $1 billion, even if you have $50 billion, it's got to hurt your pocketbook.
Yeah.
Okay, $1 billion's $1 billion.
That's a lot.
Okay, so
I do want to say, so just real fast.
Yes.
You know, I did Cash Cab, and there was one question where we got to go on social media and ask a question, and all of them started answering.
Right.
I just want to give a shout out to Brad Squad, because they were giving you the answer.
What was the answer?
James.
Oh, they
Jessica
were.
Leamy.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I love that.
So thank you very much. Brad Squad knows more than Uncle Brad sometimes, right?
I love that.
Yeah. So I got to look, actually. Next time.
You ask a question, you should look. They're giving the answers.
That's right. You know what? Next time I said I don't know the answer, I'm going to ask what the squad says.
Yeah. So
right?
Squad, make sure you're ready.
It's almost like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You're like, I'm going to ask the audience, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
70% of the audience says it's James Holzhauer.
There you go.
Right. So any event, coronavirus update. Brad doesn't have it, thank God, because I seem to feel better right now.
Right,
but people are dropping dead in China and the Philippines. As a matter of fact, I read that although China has said, I don't know how many people have died in China so far. I don't know if I have the number here, but whatever that number is, I'm told is severely undercounted. Because they can't get people into the areas that are quarantined to actually count dead people on the street. Now the coronavirus, a pneumonia-causing illness, it affects the respiratory tract. It has killed 427 people worldwide and has infected 20,438,000 worldwide. Jeez. But that is an undercount. Only 2 have died outside of China. But from what I understand is that China has been undercounting simply because they don't have the manpower to actually count the people who are dying on the streets.
It says at least 425 deaths in China.
Yeah. So now Japan Ministry has said they announced 3 more coronavirus cases today, bringing the country's total to 23. International researchers are racing to develop a vaccine. The vaccine for coronavirus is at least 12 to 18 months away. So you can race all you want. We got to get through this. In the meantime, the World Health Organization declared an international public emergency, and obviously the biggest threat is the spread of the disease. You know, for example, Hong Kong, they're up in arms in Hong Kong right now because they don't want to allow anyone in from China.
Right.
And the hotels in Macau, you know, the gambling mecca in China, they're closed.
Jeez.
They've closed those towns. And they believe that if this virus spreads, it's possible that Shanghai could be quarantined. It's possible even Beijing can be quarantined. You know, this is a much more serious health problem than SARS. Remember how scary SARS was? This is going a lot worse than SARS.
Oh,
you know, I'm not sure we're ready yet to start getting, wearing surgical masks all over the world. But certainly,
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't, if it keeps spreading like this,
that's a lot.
You may want to get surgical masks. And I even read, they said, they don't even know if a surgical mask would work or not. But you know what? I know it can't hurt you.
Listen,
I know if you put on a surgical mask, it's not going to make it worse. It's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if this does become, worldwide, I'll give two suggestions to everybody. One is you wear a surgical mask, and 2, you carry literally soap and water.
Yes.
Not Perel, but literally soap, bottles of water and a bar of soap, and you'll be washing your hands every hour. Every hour.
I mean, come on, that's
the only way that's the only way ultimately you would protect yourself. Clean hands and prevent the virus from coming into your nasal passages, mouth, maybe even your ears.
Yeah.
You know, your eyes,
that's
they can get into your
scary.
eyes too.
That is scary.
It's very scary. Well, hopefully China has so far been very slow in trying to contain the virus. Hopefully they're a little more on
it
it
now.
now.
It says 493 deaths,
Yeah.
23,875 cases. And that's, like, think about that, 500 people.
Yeah.
And that's only what they've told us, but 500, that's a lot of people.
There's a lot more death in China than what we're hearing. What we are hearing. There's a lot more.
Whew.
Okay, it will eventually come out, but there is a lot more. Switching gears a little bit, we talked about before I got sick from my own flu that the U.S. Supreme Court lifted the nationwide injunction that prevented immigration from enforcing the new Donald Trump public charge provisions. So now, as of February 24th, 2020, the new public charge provisions go into effect for anybody who files an adjustment application on February 24th, 2020 and beyond. If you feel you are going to have a public charge problem, you better get your adjustment application in before February 24th. You will fall under the old rules. You got about 2.5 weeks. For those who already have their adjustments filed or have pending adjustment cases, you're okay. It only takes effect for people who file their adjustments after February 24th. So what is these new rules? Well, in the old rules is you just have to show you're 125% above the poverty level. Now you not only have to show that's step one, because there's a step two. Step one is show you're 125% above the poverty level. Step two is show that you're not going to become a government charge. How is that going to happen? Well, if your petitioner is taking government assistance, if your petitioner is in public housing, it's going to be big negatives against you. If your petitioner earns less than $62,000 for a family of 4, it's a big negative against you. Positives for you would be you have health insurance, you have a job, you are of working age, you have an education. It's going to skew to people with education. It's going to skew against people who don't speak English and don't have an education. It's going to be a big problem for a lot of people. So the only thing I could suggest to people is 2 things. Get your application in before February 24th and get yourself a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Trump now also has travel restrictions to a lot of, and we have a lot of our friends in the Brad Squad are part of this, unfortunately.
2 of my countries.
2 of your countries.
My mom and my dad's country. Is
Nigeria, which we have a lot of people watching from Nigeria. Eritrea.
Yeah.
A lot of people from there too. Myanmar. We don't have as many Myanmar, but maybe we do. Kyrgyzstan. And that includes also the old countries, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, North Korea, and Venezuela. Also, 2 other new countries I neglected, Sudan and Tanzania. So what are these new travel restrictions? Basically, what they're saying is people from these countries can't get green cards.
Wow.
You're married to a U.S. citizen from Nigeria, that Nigerian husband or that Nigerian wife, even if you're a U.S. citizen, cannot get a green card.
Wow.
Can't. And what Trump is saying the reason is because there's a lot of fraud that comes from these countries, and a lot of people from these countries overstay their visas. And the reason why they put the ban for green cards instead of, this is Trump's reasoning, instead of non-immigrant visas, because people from these countries can still get visitors visas, student visas, work visas, investor visas, religious worker visas. What they can't do is get green cards. And Trump's rationale is that it's a lot easier to deport somebody who is on a non-immigrant visa who overstays their time than somebody who has a green card. Okay, but there is no overstay on a green card, so I'm not exactly sure why he wants to deport people who have green cards who are not really breaking the law.
Right.
So his logic actually doesn't flow.
I mean, when does it?
So we go back to, that's a good excuse. The real reason is what he really thinks of these countries.
Yeah.
Shitholes.
They're shitholes. Yeah.
Right. And he doesn't want people from shitholes.
Right. Sick. Orange madness, guys.
Yes. Did you like the Super Bowl?
I did.
Yeah. What was your favorite part of the Super Bowl? Football or halftime show?
A halftime show.
Halftime show.
These 2 beauties.
Yes.
Woo.
I loved it.
look at Brad.
I loved it. I loved it. I love the football game too, but
Yeah.
the halftime show.
The halftime show.
I'm gonna tell you something. I had no Shakira downloaded on my phone. I was downloading Shakira after.
Really?
Yes, I downloaded about 5-6 Shakira songs after. Yeah.
So,
And that J-Lo.
That J-Lo is a lot of women.
She's my age, but she looks 20 years younger.
Isn't that insane?
Is that insane, right?
Like, look at her.
Yeah.
She looks great. They both look great.
I'm going to tell you something. When I was 25, I couldn't climb up and down a pole. Okay? She's 50, and she's climbing up and down the pole.
Up and down that
That's
pole,
right.
man. Yeah.
All right.
That was amazing. I wanted to ask the Brad Squad, what you guys think? You know, was this one of your favorites? Who did you enjoy?
It was really, we were talking about it off the air.
Yeah.
And I told you, it was, to my recollection, one of my favorite halftime shows, if not my most favorite halftime show.
That's a lot.
And Yo-Yo said, well, I like Prince better. I like Michael Jackson better. I like Beyonce better.
Yeah.
I said, I don't remember.
I'm going to need you to look at them.
I got to look at them again.
Yeah.
I gotta look at them again.
Beyonce and Michael Jackson, those three. And then the best person to sing the Star Spangled Banner, Whitney Houston.
Yes, that one I remember.
Yes.
That one I remember.
Demi Lovato did really good too, though.
Besides the sexy outfits and the flashy dancing
and the hips
and
that
the hips
didn't lie.
That's right. whatever,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on these sexy outfits, other people focused on the border crisis statement J-Lo and Shakira,
which was beautiful,
made during their performance right before Emma Maribel Muniz, who's Jennifer's, by the way, I didn't realize that's her daughter. No, I didn't realize. I only found out after.
She sounded amazing.
Yeah. She started singing during the Super Bowl 54 halftime show. She crawled out of a cage. Now, she wasn't the only one. Dark patches of the field were illuminated by several neon structures identical to Emmy's, with children caged inside. One by one, their cages lit up until it was time for Emmy to open her door and sing through the empowering verses of her mom's 2000 single, Let's Get Loud. Let's get loud. One by one.
Hey, vocals.
Thank you. One by one, I just started thinking, like, yeah. So the kids eventually joined Emmy on stage and surrounded her as a backing choir, all in white sweatshirts with rhinestone American flags emblazoned across the front. The statement had her and the rest of the younger performers singing from behind bars. It did not go unnoticed, not only by us at Brad Show Live, but on Twitter as well. Ramos Nuero said when this scene came out, they were singing Let's Get Loud about kids in cages. Of course, that's a thing. Let's get loud. Hashtag Pepsi halftime. Luther Swift said, how is no one talking about this powerful yet subtle statement? And biz lawyer ATL Atlanta says powerful commentary on the border crisis by J-Lo having kids in cages.
Loved it. Like, this is those are ways to use your platform for good, you know, to get the word out. You know, a lot of people were like, oh, why would you perform at the Super Bowl when, you know, Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job? But this is what you do. You know what I mean? If you're going to use that platform, then get loud, make a statement.
And by the way, do you know how much J-Lo and Shakira earned for their performance? They earned minimum wage.
I heard they don't even get paid.
No, they get paid.
They get paid?
You have to get paid or it would be slavery. You got to pay the person. But it was minimum wage. The NFL does pay for all the expenses of the halftime show, which cost them over $10 million, plus traveling and all of that. But they don't actually get a paycheck. What they get instead is the publicity of hundreds of millions of people watching them, talking about them. And now Shakira has the #1 downloaded song on Apple iTunes, a song that came out 19 years ago, now rocketed back to #1 on Apple iTunes.
And you've helped with that.
I downloaded it. I am telling you, I have become a huge Shakira fan.
So, no, I am right. So Super Bowl halftime artists are not paid to perform.
They get paid minimum wage.
Oh.
They're not paid what they would normally, like J-Lo goes and performs for a 20-minute set somewhere at a private event. She would get $1 million. But she got minimum wage. But they got all that publicity.
Yeah. Listen.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.